Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be Lunax. Pardon me, I did that wrong. Lunax Void Ray Rush taking on I guess his dad's bot. It is BenBotBC, bot that has been cast on the channel many times, and as it's always incredibly fun to watch. And so yes, we have got another match between these two. Lunax is still a very new bot here on the ladder. Really, it has shaken things up, and it's just cool to see, just to get a closer look at it, and how bot authors like BenBot have potentially adapted to it, if at all. We do know that BenBot can be a little weak to things like Tempest Rushes or to early airplay, so there is potential for that, although Lunax is going for its carrier build, not a Tempest Rush. And meanwhile, BenBot is just doing its thing, no proxy racks, nothing like that, as Lunax does open up with a very quick Zealot in order to keep itself safe. The Protoss bot, notably, is not using speed mining, which is playing with a significant handicap. Maybe not as big of a deal for Lunax as other bots. For example, since Lunax is usually bottlenecked by gas, but I mean, speed mining can benefit your gas mining too, as it is more efficient if you just have 2 workers in an assimilator speed mining than if you had 2 that are not. So that is something that I'm very excited to see eventually get implemented into Lunax, I hope, as Lunax is it's a very good bot, and when you see something that shows a lot of promise, you want to see it go as far as possible. So hopefully we do get that eventually. We are on the map Persephone for this one. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a little bit later than usual in the videos, but if you haven't already, click that like button. If we can get, I don't know, 50 likes for 50 shields on this Zealot, that would be amazing. Leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these awesome bot matches. I certainly enjoy casting them. And then subscribe if you're not already subscribed, as it's daily videos here on the channel for the most part. And if you do want to support the channel, consider becoming a YouTube member. It goes a long way and helps buy the coffee that fuels these casts. Yes, on with this game, as we do have Lunax going for a very quick +1. It's just incredible how fast this bot starts that +1 upgrade. There's a Nexus now on the way for the Protoss bot. Meanwhile, BenBot has got its command center on the way. Now, BenBot isn't the fastest expanding Terran bot in the world, so that does kind of benefit Lunax a bit, in the sense that, for example, if someone went for like a bot that literally just like went for a super greedy 3 hatch opening or 3 command center opening, that kind of thing, and then just teched right into Vikings or something, it's like, how well would that work against a bot like Lunax? Could you benefit from such an economic jumpstart before the potential carriers get over to you? And we are going to have potential carriers on the way soon enough, as that fleet beacon is about to finish up. Now, BenBot, meanwhile, does have Stimpack on the way, which is interesting. Stimpack for BenBot. The starport is just about done, so we do get a single Viking on the way. Widow Mines being built for BenBot as well. Lunax is very undefended, as it does just have 1 Zealot presently. No cannons, nothing like that. So if BenBot did potentially get aggressive here, Lunax would be very susceptible to that. As, yeah, like there's just literally nothing until this carrier is done. Once the carrier is done, it's definitely a force to be reckoned with. But BenBot does have all the makings for a push right now. But I mean, it's not that simple when it comes to programming a bot when you're looking just at one match case, because BenBot is programmed to play matches against all the bots. And so it's got the best design philosophy, which tends to involve just staying at home with a nice little wall. So it's not that's where bots and humans differ. The bots are programmed for the best performance overall generally, not specific cases, whereas humans are better at picking up on and adapting. Definitely. So we do have Vikings here on the way for BenBot as a potential answer to these carriers of Lunax. It is interesting that BenBot is going for these. It is interesting that it is going for all these Vikings. This does seem a little bit blind counter-ish against Lunax because, yeah, like BenBot hasn't really scouted out, I don't think. So this could be just like this could potentially be like a programmed in build order counter. Maybe it's just how BenBot plays out the matchup and I'm forgetting, but BenBot does identify the carriers now. However, yeah, like 4 Vikings this early on it's a lot of anti-air, whereas BenBot just saw the carriers now. But it's not a bad way to open up these days, I imagine, with all the Tempest rushes and that kind of thing that are around. Yes, a very healthy Viking count for BenBot to start this off. Then we do have Lunax going for its carriers. It's got 2 out, 2 more on the way. Meanwhile, then there is +2 going for the Protoss bot, so that's going to be nice. Drilling Claws on the way for BenBot as well. I'm a big fan of that. We do have Widow Mines running around. The mine placement is interesting. I mean, it's definitely good to potentially block these expansions later on. However, I do think that they could be in better positions. For example, they could have blocked this base, one of them, and they could have blocked this base as well. So, yeah, maybe that placement could be changed for BenBot. I'm not really able to think of a case in which putting the mines there has more benefit than not, unless BenBot is just trying to lock down those bases for its own gain later on. But yeah, I think those mine placements could be a little different, and I think that's something that's probably just hard coded into BenBot. I don't know, although that one's not quite on. There's a bit of variability as far as where the mines are actually placed, although they do seem to have the same offset except for this one. So interesting. We do have BenBot actually moving out, getting aggressive here. 9 Vikings going to be getting aggressive against the 5 carriers of Lunax. The 5th one just popped. We do have BenBot saying Thor mode, early Tempest. No Tempest to be seen, but plenty of carriers. However, that is -1 carrier as a carrier goes down to the Viking shots. So what was that, like 3 Vikings for a carrier? That is a pretty good trade for BenBot. Now, the Terran bot is getting up a 3rd base, which is nice to see. Fusion core on the way, extra starports going on up. And then it's actually coming on in with its Vikings once more, getting aggressive. There is only 4 carriers, and look at that shot getting off. Deletes one of the carriers there. The interceptors are struggling to be released to get on top of these Vikings as they're just kiting back rather quickly. The Vikings are very injured, and the carriers are pursuing. Will one more go down? No, it stays alive, but all in all, that's very painful for Lunax, as replacing these carriers takes a long time. There is triple Stargate production for Lunax, which is definitely important at this point in the game, as 2 ain't gonna cut it against a BenBot that's building 5 Vikings at a time. We do notably have 1-1 done for BenBot for those Vikings. We'll see if we get 2-2 on the way. The Terran bot does have a pretty nice economy, but so does Lunax. Notably, though, Lunax, again, I hate to keep harping on it, but the lack of speed mining could play into this, potentially. As who knows, maybe it would be able to fire up 4 carriers at a time. I don't know the exact math. Yes, for now, though, both these bots are just building up. 200 supply of carriers is very terrifying. So that could be something that Lunax is trying to get to. We do have another Stargate building for Lunax, and it is actually making use of all 3 of them. Kind of struggling to keep all 3 Stargates going. We are getting Chrono Boost used on these Stargates, though, which is very nice to see. Lunax's 4th is building as well. 7 carriers now, 13 Vikings as BenBot rolls on up here with a single Marine and a bunch of Vikings starting to attack this third base of Lunax. Disrupting the ass mining would be very nice, so the carriers have to come out. But look at that. BenBot seems to... I think BenBot may have had some work done when it comes to fighting these carriers, because look at those Vikings get a shot off, immediately start kiting back. The target fire is pretty good on them. I mean, still though, those carriers really caused some problems for BenBot. I think way more Vikings died that time versus carriers. 2 carriers died there for, I'm not sure the total count of Vikings, but I want to say it was probably like 7 or something in that. So Lunax is going to get aggressive here, go for a counterattack. The carriers are regenerating shields, which is very important. BenBot does have Widow Mines in the mix, which is nice. Marines are going to soak some damage. A couple of interceptors do go down to the Widow Mines there. There's plenty more mines as well. That one lazy mine needs to burrow. Friendly fire on the SCVs was big. BenBot is building more Vikings to try and handle this. However, it will lose the 4th base. The natural is in trouble. Those Marines actually are getting damaged done to one of the carriers in the bunker, so the repair on the bunker definitely important, and Lunax's focus is split. Look at this bunker just staying alive as the carriers try and bring it down. Those Widow Mines are coming off of cooldown and getting very nice shots off, so that is the drilling clause in effect there. I'm very happy to see BenBot getting value out of that, as otherwise Lunax would have just killed those mines. But the Protoss bot trades out all of its carriers pretty much for 1 base. Another carrier comes on in alone against what is now 21 Vikings for BenBot. Lunax is in some trouble. It needs to change gears, but it's not. It's asleep. These carriers are pulling a Tassadar. They're just going for it, and they are just getting blown out of the skies as a result. So that is really, really nice for BenBot. Lunax definitely needs to change gears, turn around, sit back, but it still seems to be in attack mode. And yeah, it's just not recalculating that either. So very concerning here for the Protoss bot. I think now would be the time that we'd want to see Lunax maybe add in some static defense, like a couple cannons at every base or something to prevent Vikings just flying over, or maybe a shield battery if it does end up on the defense. But yeah, Lunax seems to be a little broken in this situation, just sending the carriers out, not adjusting, so constantly feeding here into BenBot. And while the Protoss has a very good economy, it is just down in the supply due to this just the car's stuck in drive basically, and Lunax isn't changing its mind. I'm wondering if it's because it's not really getting a chance to see all the Vikings, but it does see them, so Lunax should be like, that's a lot of supply. I should maybe stop attacking, but I don't know if it's like a reinforced mechanic or something. One carrier's out on the map, so the others are like, right, we gotta go back up our homie, and it's just a never-ending cycle. Anyway, BenBot is in a phenomenal position right now, almost maxed out. Lunax is floating so many minerals. This is why I would like to see some cannons, maybe another base, that kind of thing. Yeah, I think the relative simplicity of Lunax may be punishing it a little bit here, as BenBot just seems to have kind of hard countered this at this point. 31 Vikings in all. These carriers are toast. 1 volley, a second volley adds up to 2 dead carriers. And I think it's just a matter of time till BenBot attacks now, as Lunax is continuing on with this. If there was maybe like a Hellion or something harassing, that might snap Lunax out of this and to go back and retreat. But BenBot is not doing that. And yeah, Lunax will lose yet another carrier. So BenBot has definitely had some work put into it not to die to the quick carrier rushes, which is definitely nice to see. Like, this is so many Vikings. The Viking control looks very good as well. Yeah, it's just so sad, these carriers going in one by one. Lunax is a little broken right now. Not recalculating, just in attack mode. And I genuinely do wonder if this is like a reinforced loop or something, or whether it's just stuck in attack mode, what exactly is going on. But we are not getting a 5th base from the Protoss, so eventually it will run out of resources, and eventually, presumably, BenBot will just attack at some point. I mean, like, Lunax did knock BenBot's economy down early on. Like, BenBot is only just reestablishing its 4th base, so if Lunax hadn't kept suiciding these carriers in, I'd say it had a decent chance rebuilding. Like, it's definitely thrown away 200 supply of carriers at this point, so it could have remaxed, but in comes BenBot, and I think we've got a bit of a bot ending here, as Lunax is unfortunately just cooked. Carriers try and save the day, but not a chance. All the Vikings land for BenBot, all 31 of them, and then they take to the skies to delete this. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this match, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I do look forward to seeing how BenBot and Lunax do against each other, potentially with some updates in the future. But I think BenBot was in a decent position, but like, if Lunax had just stopped attacking after that first attack, pooled up the carriers again, like, it could have done pretty well, because BenBot really was on a lower economy than Lunax for a long, long time, as it was on 3 bases versus 4, so I think there was a world in which Lunax could have overpowered BenBot. And, yeah, just, This is a fact of life of the bot games, that you do get derpy endings at times, even from the best bots. "31 Vikings just grouped up into a ball with a Thor that wants to join on in, I guess." And yeah, slow cleanup here. Lunax is rebuilding a gateway at its other base, which I do have to say is good redundancy here from it. Let's see if it can get up a Stargate or not. It does, so like, it started to rebuild, but its days are over. GG.